KamikaziMaster here, and I have a very special guest. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, this is Youngblood Fantasy 91, and I'm sure you can recognize my voice at this point. What's going on?
And we have a very, very interesting subject to discuss. And that is?
That is women. Specifically, how they are objectified in today's society and how, we think of it as pretty demeaning. I mean, Max actually brought the topic up to me. So, I'm thinking, maybe I should put my 2 cents in as well. You know?
Well, here's my problem with it. I see it as that today we treat men as normal people. We treat ourselves as just, human beings. We go around, it's like, hey, I'm a guy and my name is Max. But I feel at some point we devaluate the idea of women as to being just these objects of pleasure. As in the idea, yeah, people joke around with the idea of, oh, I just fucking ran. But when you think about it, sometimes you really have to think and say, that man just saw that woman only for sex. He didn't see her name. He didn't even know who that person was. It was just a random party. It was just a random time. And randomly that turns into, yeah, you're not anything. You're not a human being. You're just something I fucked and then ran. Now, I know not all men are like this, but when you think about it, it's just bothering to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the devaluation of women is something that they're trying not to do. The Equal Rights Amendment never has been ratified, so of course, they're still pretty upset about that. But the thing is, though, from my personal viewpoint, I know people who are, feminists, and I know that, that women are being, totally, woefully not recognized in society, although I can name plenty of women off the bat who are very, I guess you could say prolific in their efforts to make the world a better place. Like, for instance, Marie Curie, that's a major one. Lisa Meitner, Rosalind Franklin, those are all sciencey type of people. But you have to understand, this is something that science is a major thing for me. And if you don't recognize those people, you pretty much are stupid. I mean, I consider women equal to men, but in this society, in this day and age, there are plenty who believe that women are inferior. That sort of classification is like gender roles, which I'm sure people are trying to get rid of,
Yeah. When you think about it, I thought a long time ago we got over the idea of women are subordinate to men. But it feels at the same time that really we haven't. I mean, we've gone through about a good number of years, the 19th Amendment, all of this, women movements, women getting rights here, there, and at the same time, it feels like it's being demoted to nothing, as people don't seem to be applying these rules to anything. I mean, the rules are still around, women being able to vote and such like that, but at the same time, the ideas of humanity being brought into this situation, it's not really evaluated as it is more political rights than it is, human rights.
Yeah. I mean, I think of it in terms of just saying, as a human being, as a functioning unit of American society, everyone should definitely play a part, and I think women is a prime example. I mean, they're people too. I mean, I believe them to be just as, influential in the workforce as men, even though people try to think of it as the opposite. I tend to think of them as important in every single field they involve themselves in, whether it be science, literature, economics, anything that they do. I mean, they're the children of parents as well as we are children of our own parents. So they've been born into this world the same way we're born in this world as men. I don't see why we should discriminate against that, except for the fact that there has been this conservative or non-changing gender role that we all have to live with, either through just environmental understanding, through advertising, or through other channels. But I mean, I'm not going to be going around and just, shoving it down everyone's throats. But I mean, it's just, the idea is just preposterous. I mean, I've said this multiple times. I have the deepest respect for women, not because I love them that much, but because, they're people too. They're not, insects. They're not empty vessels. They're people with personalities, much like how we have personalities.
Very true. See, and from my personal experience, I've dated a good number of women, and I'm not saying the dating idea is, oh, I had a girlfriend, and, this is a personal matter to me because I almost once was a victim of this own sort of way. When I first dated a woman at the age of around 16 or so, I thought of only of the idea of having a girlfriend. I didn't think of the person, I didn't think of anything. It's my own fault. That's just very wrong. When you think about it, it's not about just the objectionalization, just not, knowing, oh, I have a girlfriend. And that's the annoying thing also. People go around these days onto the streets going, I have a girlfriend, or I have a wife, as if it's like this property thing you have. Like if it's this piece of thing you can bring home, and it's like you like lay it on your mantle along with your shotgun and over a roasted fire or something. No. You go home and you say, I love you, wife. No, wife. That's even just meaning. The idea is you love her by her true nature, by who she is, by what she is, by what she brings to you. The happiness between a couple should be something of just, unimaginable proportions. And people even go around saying, oh, well, I love this person, I love her so much. It's like, do you really love her, or are you just happy to be fucking that person? Because that just really just boils it just grinds my gears, really. It's just like, I've really been trying my best to be this, nice guy, and I've heard from many women, it's apparently, really, really rare. Like, can you believe that, Youngblood? Apparently it's rare to be a nice guy these days to women, because now it's just seeing these women as objects.
Dreadfully shocking.
People keep saying, I don't want to boast, but girls keep saying I'm cute and everything, and that they appreciate and they think it's refreshing that I'm actually treating them as, human beings. I'm like, are you freaking serious? I have friends who told me about rocky relationships they have, and there are some girls that I know who say they're having, relationship troubles because the man's being a jerk ass.
I'm not trying to pull the pity card, but I never had a relationship in my life. But the thing is, though, even if I did engage in a relationship, I would be not abusing my partner, or I wouldn't make it a grand parade out of it, or just this circus act. Okay, people make it this huge hullabaloo that everyone should pay attention to. It's like, oh, I got a girlfriend. Everyone's like, oh my god, tell me about what happened last night. Oh my god, ugh. It's like, really? I don't need to know that. Truth be told, if you want to tell me, fine, but it's like, you don't need to. Once you get a girlfriend, the important thing is, first you have to interact socially, then you have to find, common things that you like. You have to relate on a social level and an environmental level, and in fact, then if you want to advance to the love machine level, you gotta be just with her a lot. I believe in, this is very old-fashioned, but I believe in dating for months before you actually do anything drastic. Because my thing is, if you want to know the person inside and out, and women are individual treasures, untapped treasures of the world, and if you want to, I believe that for a fact. I really do believe it. They're untapped treasures, and if you want to understand how each one works, you just gotta, talk to them, analyze them, everything under the sun. In fact, I'm planning on doing such things next semester at college, because there's plenty of them I want to talk to, and they're all they could act the same way we act. They could have their own set of habits and personality traits that can attract us to them. They can be hardworking as we are, blah 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 blah. And yet some men take the opportunity to just abuse them, and it's like, oh, that's cool. What are you, the superior race? Ooh, I'm so awesome. It's like, no, you're not. You're just. It's like breaking a mirror. What's the point?
True. And to be honest, the whole idea is pretty much to me that I feel that, for myself, I've always gone by the expression, I look more for what's in the girl's heart than what's in the girl's body. And people look at me like I'm crazy. They go like, but she doesn't have a nice ass, she doesn't have a nice pair of tits. I'm like, I don't fucking care. She's a beautiful woman. She has a nice heart. She has she has a beautiful soul. And I know I must sound like the soppiest motherfucker on the earth, but I feel like people don't care anymore for someone's heart. And I know I sound like a poet, but it's true. People will now judge the idea of a woman being more on, hey man, look at that pair of tits, or hey man, look at those curves. I'm like, yeah, but is she going to be a bitch to you 20 minutes later after your little fun time? And he's like, no, man, I'll be fine. 20 minutes later, he's down the street corner going, why did I do that? You know, people just be like, what is wrong with women? And then it's really, what is wrong with men? As they don't see the idea of, you know, just having a heart is that important. Like, I've told countless friends, you know, if I were to date the ugliest, just you know, like, if she doesn't have if she didn't have an ass, she didn't have a pair of tits, but she had the nicest soul in the world, I'd be fucking happy with that. And to be honest, I would wish that most men would be happy with that, but no. Apparently men are just happy with having a pair of tits and ass. Yes, we generalize the idea that most men have this, you know, ass fetish or tit fetish, but that's like a jokingly sense. You know, like, yeah, but we can both agree that we joke around with the whole idea of, oh, big pair of tits is nice once in a while. You know, like, we joke around with that. But
yeah,
we don't go around saying, you know, you don't have a big pair of tits. I don't like you. You have a big pair of tits, but are a complete bitch. You know?
Exactly.
It's like, what is the point? What is the point in dating if we're not going to even evaluate for who the person is, but more or less what the person delivers? And that's the point I'm just furious at. People expect...
Me too.
Free. People expect a woman to just pay up. It's like, I'm dating you just so I can see that ass of yours. No. You are dating the woman so that you are dating this lovely lady so you can see who this person is, what she is, what she does in life, what her goals are, what future she has, maybe what future she wants to have with you. And I think that, you know, a woman who sees all this, and then a guy who just sees one thing and isn't thinking with that head, but, you know, that head, it annoys the fuck out of me. And I must sound like a lady right now, but I don't care. I've had women come up to me and go, Matt, you are the nicest guy I've ever seen. I'm like, why? You are on the inside. And I'm like, don't a lot of men do? And they're like, no, you're pretty rare. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And then I hear these stories about how this woman got abused and how this woman got, you know, mentally scarred. And it pains me inside. Like, other people say, you know, it's a battle they have to fight themselves, but it's like, you gotta be kidding me. That some men can actually go like, yeah, I did the right thing by mentally scarring her. Oh, I did the right thing by slapping that girl in the face. Oh, I did the right thing by nearly killing this woman.
I taught her a lesson, ooh.
I'm apparently an epitome of justice. No, you aren't, you fucking a-hole. You are a dumb motherfucker that does not see the beauty that you have right there, and instead just go and say, this is my property, I do whatever I want.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no. I mean, just no. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, I know once I say what I want to say about this, people are going to call me, oh my god, you're such a homosexual if you don't like asses. I'm like, dude, I like the fact that some women have curves as much as the next guy, but I don't think it's a defining characteristic of what makes a woman attractive to me. I think it's more than just the superficial aspects of it. And I think people these days are too shallow, in my humble opinion. Some people are very shallow. I've noticed in a bunch of relationships that I've seen in high school, mostly it's the most good-looking girls that are paired up with the other dudes, and in the end, it's like the dudes are selfish anyway, and they treat them like idiots, and surprisingly, the girls are really receptive to that. Like, they like when their boyfriends like slap them in the face, or when they call them names, or when they say, "Leave me alone, you bitch! I'm trying to study." It's like they like that sort of crap. They take the abuse.
Well,
they
sometimes it can be more of that. It's like, have you heard of the idea of someone becoming a robot, and that they've become so used to it that it just sort of becomes nature to them? That's why I've seen in the past that some women stay with like these asshole abusive guys, because it feels more like roboticism is taking over instead of, you know, free thought. It's that bad, and that's what grinds my gears even more. When you've driven a woman to not have her own thought, but to instead think by your own actions, as to think, I don't have any free will anymore, you are totally my master.
Yeah. There's this famous paper that John Stuart Mill, who's a famous philosopher who devised utilitarianism alongside Jeremy Bentham. Him and Harriet Taylor, his wife, wrote a pamphlet called On the Subjugation of Women, and basically they called for equal rights. They operated from England, mind you, but they said they wanted women to be equal to men in terms of political status, working status, everything like that. And if people can think in 1869 that this was possible, I don't see why we can't think of that now, in today's society, where we see women on TV, we see them in newspapers, we see them doing political roles, we see them in science and everything, and yet at the same time you have the dregs of society, you have the people in the lowest bottom barrel, the lowest common denominator, who are, if you see daytime TV, you know what I'm talking about. Women get cheated on, women get slapped in the face, women get abused, blah, 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 ad infinitum. It's just disgusting. You know why I watch those shows? Because I want to laugh at the men who treat them like crap. Because what they're doing is pretty much subhuman in this point. I don't really, I really would want, if I ever met them in real life, I would just punch them across the face, and in fact, I guess assassinate them verbally for how stupid they are. I mean, yes, it's one of those ideal situations where it would never happen, but see, I just don't think of this as, real human behavior. I think it's just them being absolute douchebags because they don't appreciate a woman for what she fully is as a person. She's not just a freaking thing that you slap across the ass because she has a nice one. She's not a freaking exhibition show. She is a person with a bunch of external and internal characteristics that you have to take into account. I mean, how in the hell do you form friends with people of the same gender? Because you look at their personality. Well, can't you do the same thing with the other gender and just extrapolate? Maybe you can develop a relationship that's deeper than just friendship. I'm sorry if I'm ranting here, man. But, it's just this, I mean, the thought of it is just appalling because, like I said previously, you don't realize how much I really dig women in terms of, how elusive they are, how wonderful they are as people. I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, I'm in love with them. And I really would want to take the time to know how they work, who they are, and just, function in society with them. That's all I really want to do. Function in society. Maybe develop a relationship with one of them. A meaningful relationship that actually matters. Substance, style.
So if I could interject a story that could really bring matter into more of this.
Sure.
This is a bit of a personal story. Okay, back in high school, there was this one girl I knew. I felt so sorry for her. She would come into class crying, and I would ask every day. I'd ask, what's wrong? I'm not her best friend. I'm not her friend even. But I felt bad. I just went, what's wrong? And she wouldn't talk about it. And then a friend of mine goes and says she's getting abused. So I felt even sorrier, and I went, if that's even a word, I went and said, I'm going to help her out. So I thought of a way as to try and bring a sweet side of things. I bought her candy. And not in the style of, oh, I'm trying to get you away from your boyfriend. In the style of, here is something to keep you smiling. And every day, okay, not every day, I didn't have that much money on me. But, every day I felt bad. And I would just, Starbursts were only $1 in my school. So I would buy her one and I said, just keep smiling. And then one day I got fed up with it. Apparently he was abusing her outside the school. I got fed up. One day I go walking outside and I see the same thing happening. I go, you know what, fuck it. I walk out to him, uppercut him right in the face, a nice right uppercut, through the jaw. Okay, not through the jaw, that would be like this is a North Star shit. But right up through, he falls to the ground, he runs away, and the girls go, oh my god, someone actually stand up. I'm like, what? And it felt good. I stopped the guy from abusing her because I punched him right in the face. I don't think he started to keep abusing her. But it pissed me off too because I just said to myself, is this really what's happening? Are we that scared to at least admit that some men have degraded women to becoming objects that now we can't even stand up to it? That we can't go up to them and say, no, that's not how you treat a woman. That's not how you treat someone else. You, sir, deserve a punch in the face. No. Apparently, we have become scared little cats in what... No offense, Hobbs. We have become...
It's alright.
We have become, I'll try something else. We have become scared little mouse. Or mice. I don't care about grammar at this point. And we will hide in our little holes until eventually the mean cat will go away and deal with his own business. It infuriates me to the point of just wanting that punch. And I know violence is never a good means to try and take out on something, but if I hadn't done something, the abuse would have kept going on, and everyone would have standed there and done nothing. It wasn't a big crowd, but it was a good 10 or 20 kids just looking at it and going, "Did somebody stop them?" And I was thinking, nobody's going to stop them. And there's no, like, teachers around, like, saying, "Oh, I might as well help. Oh, I'm an older figure." No one's helping this poor girl out of this situation. So I go fist first and go, fuck this shit. Boom. Now, I'm sorry for my story of violence, but I feel it brings up an interesting point. Are we suddenly becoming afraid to try and stand up to this?
I suppose. It's actually a prime example of... this is something from history. There was this woman named Kitty Genovese who was who was murdered by a bunch of muggers. And guess what the people around her did? Diddly squat. Because they were afraid. Because they were afraid of the muggers and afraid of the consequences and everything. And this is what was known as the bystander effect, or, taking a part of something but not doing anything about it because they would be afraid of the consequences.
True.
You see, it's really psychological in origin. I mean, I keep going back to psychology, but truthfully, I can talk about this from a psychological level. I mean, if you don't want to get involved in something and you don't want to make waves, even though, I mean, come on, some things do require that. If you don't want to make waves and just conform with the masses, then I think that contributes to the bystander effect. And what Max has just talked about, and what you've just talked about, you saw what happened. People just stared and didn't do diddly squat because they were afraid of what would happen.
Exactly.
They were gridlocked in their own thought processes, and they were just frozen because they didn't want to act in their own best personal interests. I mean, that's why schools have no tolerance policies for people who watch plagiarism. If people don't I mean, yes, it does sound like a freaking Orwellian society, but think about this. If someone punched someone in the face on campus and it would cause a serious injury and no one did anything about that, then that person could have a disfigured face for the rest of their life. And I don't think anyone would want to live with that if no one would do anything about it. I mean, that's the sort of mentality that people seem to use these days. It's like their inactivity can get people hurt. I mean, yes, this is a little bit tangential to the women thing we're talking about, but this is the thing. If men can abuse women at their own discretion and we don't do anything about it, it's just going to continue and continue and continue because violence breeds violence. I'm no pacifist. I think war is a part of society, but if we can't solve easy problems like this, where women are tormented by men all the bloody time and we don't do anything about that, then what does that make us? That makes us freaking accomplices to anything, accomplices to abuse, accomplices to this. In fact, if I was in the same position as you are, I would definitely kick him in the balls because he doesn't need them. Because I don't want his freaking offspring running around the country doing the same thing he would do.
True, but I felt the uppercut was much more deserving. Personally, I could shut him the fuck up with one good punch, and I did for a good week or two.
Good for you, man. Because you actually felt that it was in your best interest to save that girl from being abused any further. And you know what? That sort of action is what more people should do. More punching in the face. Come on,
True. I mean,
God.
To me, this is what even bothered me more in a way. People will say nowadays, and I know this is a bit, unrelating to the idea, but take this for example. People will say for the death penalty, if I don't take part in it, technically I'm not killing people. But think about it like this. You are still a bystander. You're still the one watching the murder go on. So, in technicality, if you were to murder, let's say, an innocent person, you were to send someone innocent to the death penalty, you are then by being a participant in the murder of someone who didn't commit a crime. And you can complain all you want. Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't convince the man to go to jail. No, but you were there, you were standing there, and you watched. And you said to yourself, in your mind, you know what, I should stand here and watch as this man gets, a needle in his arm, or electric chair, or hanged, or, some other form of torture nowadays. And I know that's a bit extreme when compared, but the idea still stands for women. You can say all you want. I didn't abuse that woman. I didn't. You be happy. It was that guy doing it, not me. Yeah, you could have done something. You could have said to him, this is not a right idea. You could have said to the woman, go and leave the guy. You could have called the fucking principal as the worst case scenario and go, sir, there's someone being abused outside. You should come down. But no, you felt it would be a justified idea to go and stand there and go, this is interesting. I shouldn't do anything, of course, or help the woman. I should just stand here and watch. And I felt that, was I thinking rationally for 2 seconds? And is society starting to crumble down where we can't even keep our own rules handy? Where we can't treat humanity as we were based to? What's the whole idea of the Renaissance movement and the ideas of bringing, humanism and such like that, if we're not going to treat the ideas to less of ours and more of women and to our humanity and ourselves? It's like, what's the point in being called a human if half of us are considered human and half of us are considered objects? It's more or less that boy with the toy sitting down in his room is playing around with the toy airplane. The boy is somehow a human, but the toy has now been turned into an object, a manifestation of one man's desire to have his own property. It is just plain sickening. And I have one thing to say. Women, if you see that you have a friend who is being abused, or you see that you yourself are being abused, I know this is challenging, and I know it's not easy to trust some guy on the internet that's just saying to you this, but don't stay with him. Do not stay with this man. You are more than you think that this guy thinks you are. You are probably a very beautiful soul with a beautiful heart, and this man is just turning you into something of his own desire. And when you think about that very clearly, it is just disturbing. If I was someone's property, I would be disturbed. I would go and say, no, I do not want to be treated like a slave. I don't want to be treated like someone's piece of fucking property. And I feel women should stand up more for themselves and say, no, I don't need to be this person's piece of property. I need to be myself. I need to be whatever my name is. And I need to walk down these streets going, I am a fucking woman. But it seems like men have this powerful grip over how these women feel, as if to just say, you know what, yeah, you have no power, you have no, rights. We may see that women still have civil rights. We can't argue the ideas of, women are voting, women are doing this, we're doing that. But at the same time, we take more of what we see in our civil rights and such, and go, that's far enough. We have enough rights for people. Oh, human rights? Nah, we don't need to worry about those. It's not like we're going to be treating anything different. And I know this is going to be taking another extreme step, but look at what we did with the African American movement. We took years and years, and look how far we are with that. Some say we are far with it, others say we're still stuck back in the 1950s, as if we're still fighting this idea. And think about this then. The whole idea and controversy of this has been less time than the idea of women. As if you really want to put it to an example, women have been around since, caveman times for the fuck of it. And to just say, one group is important and another one is not important, it's just like we're showing our own hypocrisy. We'll help someone, but we won't help the other. We'll treat someone right and try to give them rights as to not have to be ashamed of themselves, but we'll give another group shit and we won't help them at all.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that well said. I mean, let me tell you something. I mean, I'm still new to the dating scene, of course. I mean, but if I ever want to make a first impression, I'm going to make it in the best way possible, and that is show complete and utter respect for the other gender, because we all live in this land that we call United States, and we walk around it, we walk on its soil, we work on its soil, we build buildings, we make air conditioners and TVs and clocks and refried beans and Sony PlayStation 3s, and yet we share it with a whole bunch of other people, women, everybody, a lot of people, including women. And I say that if we all live in the same country together, don't you think it is more than necessary to maintain symbiotic relationships with every single person here? I mean, granted, there always will be prejudice, I'm sorry to say. We can't just completely eliminate it, but I mean, there are certain areas we can drastically reduce it to. Definitely, it's easy to reduce this prejudice. And I think if we can reduce prejudice towards women, I think we'll be able to advance as a society. I mean, yes, we see this all the time. We see, Whitney Houston being, we hear the stories of Whitney Houston and Rihanna and everything like that. And I mean, yes, it's a very sad thing, but in everyday life, the real heroes are the people who stand up to this sort of crap and just say, you know what, we've had enough. In fact, women, I offer you the same advice. I mean, yes, I'm some random dude on the internet. No one cares about me, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I'm a homo because I appreciate women and who they really are as in their internal personalities. But just one second. Just give me a second here. Just, if you ever feel repressed, just stand up to it and say to yourself, I'm not going to take this bullshit. He can't control what I say. I'm a person too, like any other man in this society, or like any black person, or any Indian person, or any other person in this country. I am a person. I am a unit of society, and most importantly, I contribute. And if I want to contribute, I shouldn't be taken down by other forces and other opposing people who want to bring me down. Because adversity is something that is only fitting if you overcome it, and if you can say to other people, I overcame. I was a hero for one day. And if you want to feel that triumph, if you want to feel like you're on top of the world for that for 15 minutes of your life at least, try to evaluate everyone on just a scale that encompasses every race, even women. I just give them the utmost respect for that. Not just because they went through hell, but because they are people who can respect others. And if people can respect me, you know what? That's just gravy. That's just incredible. Those are people too. They have mental capacities and faculties, and maybe I want to interact with those type of people. Sure. That's all I have to say.
I want to just bring this one quote from my football coach, my favorite football coach of all time, when I was back in high school, Coach Gorman. He told me one quote that stuck in my head forever. You know, the quarterbacks, they may always be in the newspapers, they may have their names up in lights, they may have their names spread around the world. But when you think about it, it's the linemen that always gets the job done. It's the linemen that always do the work. It's the linemen that get the quarterback in the paper. Now think about it like this. Men are always publicized in the paper, whether it be for their crimes or whether it be for their actions. Whether it be for their fame or whether it be for their downfalls. But think about it like this, woman. You are still the people that can drive these men to be in these papers. You are the people that pretty much bring something to this world. You bring this beautiful sense of things. The idea of how someone's inner beauty can show as reflected in art. The idea of love and having someone there to just hold you has brought us to have such great music, whether it be jazz, whether it be classical rock, whether it be anything. Women, you have an influence in every form of way. And you, most importantly, are what create. And think about it like this. Women, if you think that the man above you is something that should be superior to you, think of it like this. A mother creates a son, not a father. Women, you create the man. You give birth to a man that might abuse someone. And I'm not saying that you're going to do that, but just to say, the women are the reason men even have birth on this earth. Women are the reason that men are even able to walk around today. And unfortunately, women are the reason that men are able to walk around and abuse. But it is not your fault. It is the man's ditching of his own words. It is the man's thought behind what he does. It is the man himself. Never blame yourself for whatever happens. Never blame yourself for what that man might do to you. Never blame yourself for who and what he is.
Just to make a musical reference here, let me see. I'm trying to articulate it better. The best way I can put it is this. I want to be the guy that says, I'm the man who loves you, rather than run for your life if you can, little girl. That's stupid, you know? I would rather be that guy who says, dude, I am the man who loves you, because I appreciate every permutation of you and who you are.
I mean, if that's the thing too, if men could start to love I see the word love thrown around so many times, I can't say. I started a relationship once in my life with a woman asking me, when was the first time you used the word love? And I had to say, never. Because I couldn't say it. Because I feel it's getting more manipulated every day to just be something to use. To be something that is just there to give a reason for a man to abuse the woman. That it's something there to be just an item of how, you can get by the day. But women, ladies, there is love out there. And I have finally realized that there is love. You can find it. Even if it's not love. I've always said it, and I will keep this quote to my heart forever. Happiness. Happiness is more important than love. Because love is something you can throw around and use whenever you want. Happiness, you can't make up.
I tend to think of love as lowercase love and love in all capital letters. I believe that the lowercase one is the one that mankind throws around like a tennis ball or like a baseball, just a casual version, just something that can be considered a colloquialism in today's society, whereas the love in all capital letters is something that is just a treasure that you need to find on your own and you need to make your own definition of. Love in all capital letters is your own personal affection that you feel is pure and just and correct, and and when you find another girl who also believes in the capital letter love, then that person is right for you. Because I endorse the capital love, not the lowercase one that's just using colloquialisms because they want to satisfy the situation. It's not something exploitable to your own advantage. It's an emotion that only runs in the people who particularly want to believe in it, who want to endorse every single definition of it that they consider pure, just, and everything else. I mean, that's my interpretation. The capital love, L-O-V-E in all capital letters, is something that I can only truly discern from all the other definitions out there. That's my thing.
Yes, now, let me make it clear. Even if things were to change, we can't be, so sure that it'll be a perfect world. We can't say that everything is going to change rapidly from just our video. As we both have stated, we are just two dudes on the internet speaking our mind of something we really love. And for us, we don't, we've had our own experiences. Me, I've dated a good number of women in my life. And Hobbs, though inexperienced, no offense.
That's okay, I don't care.
Is someone that really pays attention to who the women are and who they are inside. And this is why I can relate to this man. Because he looks in here, in the heart. And I feel that is still something that is still just lacking today. And to really say, even if we do figure it out, it's not going to be a perfect world, but it'll be a step in the right direction. It'll be a step towards fixing something that should have been fixed a long time ago.
Right. I mean, we all have our deficiencies. We all have our faults that we need to overcome, and that sort of thing is just correct. It can be easily corrected if we just think. If we just use the faculties that we are blessed with and just think for one bloody nanosecond about this. I mean, yes, I'm starting to sound like this pansy, this very over-the-top, hammy sort of guy.
And I've sounded like a complete, sappy pants, corny man, poet, by saying all these things about the heart and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. That sort of interpretation is based on the warped perceptions of everyone these days. That's what it is. If people think we're gay, it's like, oh, well, you know what? You've been corrupted by your own thought processes. Congratulations.
And I'll say it in more proper English. Fuck you, buddy. I don't give a shit. That's my business, and that's yours.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I wish there were more people like us. I'm sure there are, but I'm just saying, maybe if we had maybe just 10,000 more men who thought the same way we did, maybe it would be more comfortable. Maybe women can have a higher regard. You know what I mean?
I agree completely. I wish in all my heart that there could be 10,000 more men like you and me. And we're not saying like we're perfect people. We're just saying we wish that, some men thought a bit more about someone's heart than they do about a pair of ass or tits.
Yes, it's not just the tits, it's not just the ass, it's everything. Everything. Everything about a woman. Maybe the way she walks, maybe the way she thinks, maybe the way she reads, maybe the way she, eats her food, or maybe the way, maybe the way she talks to you, maybe her voice, maybe everything, maybe even the most valuable thing a human can have. Maybe her mind is something that's the most beautiful part of her. I don't think anyone really considers that too much. Because it's the human mind. It's a very complex system. And once you find like-minded people, and once you find, if you want to engrave the capital letter love into a relationship, the mind is an essential tool that everyone should use. And that engraving of the word love is in the mind of a woman. The mind of a woman.
Yes, and that's another thing, guys. Women have a mind. They have something they think with. They have something that you have a mind of your own, gentlemen. You all have a mind that you think of these mathematical formulas to one day cure cancer, or these, biological situations in which will one day cure AIDS. But you have to think, women have a mind too to think of these things. And you know what really disgusted me? The idea that some men have evaluated the idea of how women work to these simple programs that men can use in order to get into women's heads. And it's disgusting because men have agreed with this man. I can't remember his name. It's Vic something. It's this really stupid system called the Pandora's Box. It is disgusting. I watched a trailer to it. It is disgusting because it is practically saying, yes, in 8 easy steps, you can learn how to manipulate a woman into working your way. And it can pretty much be that women are subjugated into 8 distinct, specific topics. Do you know how disgusting that is? Randomly go around the internet and to just see that pop up, to just see someone say, yeah, women aren't, diverse, different, or ever-changing, having their own minds. No, women are down to these 8 basic ideas. And you know what was even better? Even fucking better. This was a commercial for the ideas of just having sex. I have one thing to say to you gentlemen out there. If you think of women as the sex object, you are distinctly fucking wrong. Sex is not important. Sex is not vital. Sex is not crazy things that you need every fucking day of your fucking lives. Sex is
turns into an addiction.
Sex is something that should just come naturally after knowing this person for so many years, or even, 1 or 2 years. Sex is something that should be of personal value. It should not be something of just, I'm gonna fucking run. No. It should be, I love this woman. I love this woman for who she is, what's just brought to my life, and I just want to take it to the next level. That I can understand. But if I hear another guy just go, man, I just fucked a bitch and won, I am going to uppercut that motherfucker in the face, kick him in the balls, and then send him flying across the fucking universe until he lands in China's ocean.
Or another major river of China, why not? But yeah, I mean, I share your anger, and I share, this sort of discomfort with how women are just being treated like just how they are. I mean, for God's sake, man, I mean, it's just really, I mean, when someone when any girl comes up to me and says, you're a nice guy, it's like, I bet you say that to everyone, and they're like, no. I just say this because not many people are. I'm like, you mean people don't take the time to be courteous to you guys? It's like, really? I mean, I know you mentioned this earlier, but for God's sake, man. I ascribe to the philosophy of love forever changes. I mean, it's not just an album name, but trust me, love forever changes. And with those changes, my friend, it's just the common intellectual... I mean, I believe in the collective unconscious. That's something that Carl Jung actually theorized, the collective unconscious. And as long as consciousness changes and the unconscious changes, love will forever change too.
But see, here's the thing: when love changes, sometimes you just shoot it with the 38, sometimes, and it bleeds out, and it's disgusting how people can just manipulate it like that. How people can just use it to their own advantage and then just fuck a girl and then leave her alone. I mean, they're not freaking they're not vessels for you to enact your seed upon. They're people. They're people too. Just because you have like a freaking dick doesn't mean that you have to just publicize it everywhere. You know what I mean? It's like love is sacred in my opinion. It changes and it's sacred. And the reason why it changes so much is because people change too. Now, the idea is to catch love and to isolate it as it changes. Once you isolate it, then you can blossom it in your mind into something that makes you a better person. But you have to catch it at the right time. If you isolate love at the wrong time because you want to use it for manipulative purposes, then all you're going to get is a bunch of kudzu flying around your mind, and then you're just going to turn to this sex addict. You know what I mean? Vines of kudzu just making your mind melt.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you use the word love, or as people joke around with the Scott Pilgrim joke, lesbians, whatever. When you use the word love, mean it. Don't just throw it in the air to these women going, oh yeah, I'm going to use this in case we get in a big argument, or I'm going to use this when I want to use it. Not caring about the person's other feelings, but my fucking you. No. When you use the word love, I swear to God, you need to have the power in yourself to say it. You should have butterflies flowing through your stomach. You should feel that your arms are going to turn into noodles. Not the feeling of self-confidence where you're standing tall and going, yeah, I'm using love for my own advantages. No. You should be turning into what you see in the movies where you see guys dribbling down a tiny bit just because they said love. That they're just so scared. You see in movies these days how people use the word love and you see the characters either dribble down or you see the characters' emotions just turn into this bright smile. Women, if you do not see a bright smile on this man's face when he says he loves you, he may not mean it. And to be honest, I have to say this. You are hearing this idea from 2 points of view. You are hearing it from my point of view, which is more of a realistic and more, personal point of view where events have happened to me. And you heard from my friend Youngblood Fantasy 91, who is more of a philosophical and more psychological analysis to this.
Right, exactly. I mean, I may not have any field experience, but for God's sake, I have frickin' book experience. And let me tell you something right now. The books never lie, or rarely lie, I guess, if you want to be a paranoid schizophrenic. But, see, the point is like, psychologically, we all have our own, scales, we all have our own switches, and we sometimes turn on ones that are just deleterious to how our mind works. Sometimes we turn stuff on that benefits us, and other times, hey, what the hell? We do what we want. Sometimes we can do whatever the fuck we want because we have this mentality that we own the world and the world is our oyster and shit like that. But the problem with that theory is once you expand like an expansionist empire, you become like this egotist and someone who thinks they know everything about everything ever. What the fuck? It's like, once you have that mentality, then that means you can boss around everyone, including women. So once you develop this narcissistic complex, then you're all like, oh, look at me, I had sex with 3 women at a time, and it's like, you know what, every time someone says that, it's like, well, you just managed to, if you contract, you'll be able to contract an STD in 1/8 the time a normal person would, so congratulations, you want a medal for that? It's just so stupid, come on.
Yeah, I mean...
Sex may be a biological, action that, is beneficial to the human race, but it's not some freaking carnival ride where, like, it's gonna be functioning forever. Sooner or later, it's gonna decay because evolutionary processes dictate that we all, by the age of 50, we're probably not gonna be able to, reproduce as easily as we would. But see, here's the thing. That sort of thing, I imagine sex as the action that is just not sanctimonious, that's a bad word, that has sanctity, it's like the ultimate action. It's like the ultimate, golden action and treasure that you have to literally work your ass off for. And the only way you can reach it is if you develop a respect for women. Then you go out with one, and then you develop a meaningful relationship that spans months, hell, years. You can
wives, for that matter.
Why would that matter? It would matter because...
No, I said your wives for that matter. You were saying,
oh yes,
months, years, and I'm saying your lives. Like, it could be your lives that you spend with this woman, or it could be a lifetime that you're married to this one person. But if you are truly happy, that's something. That is important. And that divides the idea of how we treat women today. That true happiness could be what most women crave for. And then, at some point, it feels like most men just have their own mindsets already.
Yeah, I guess so. They have this predetermined notion that they can lay waste to everybody. I guess that's just great. Thanks a lot for being assholes. Whatever, do whatever you fucking please.
And I know, and to bring up one point, I know that me and Youngblood have brought more of ideas of how men treat women, and this is a woman rant, but in technicality, that's what you have to really take care and notice to. The ideas of how men affect women, the ideas of how society itself has affected women. It's not the woman just on her own. You have to take a look at the outer and external boundaries as to what surrounds the woman.
Exactly. It's just, the idea of just, when we started at the beginning of the rant, we were talking about objectifying women. And you know what? By extension, men can develop this narcissistic complex, this superiority complex that they assign to themselves because they think they know everything about everything ever. I mean, I will admit this firsthand. I don't know everything ever.
And I don't know anything. I mean, I've dated about 5 women, and I can say to myself, honestly, I still don't get it.
Yeah, see, even he doesn't. I mean, love is an elusive concept. Like I said, it changes. It's like one of those things that you can't fully define. You can use every single letter in the English language, but I think it just transcends that. That's why I believe it has meaning, because it just transcends human language. It transcends everything. It's a common link that we all share. But apparently, it just can be easily manipulated. It's like Cupid's arrow going through your face rather than your heart. Because then it just hurts you, and then you're like, why do I have an arrow through my face? I have to go to the ER. Uh-oh. That sucks. The only reason why it's happened to you is because you've been a bitch about it. So it's your own damn fault. It blows up in your face. It's your problem. That's why women slap you and just say you're a jerk and no one dates you, or... The only women you'd be able to wrangle are those who are that subservient to you. And that's just... You don't want that. I mean, I would want a woman who operated on the same level I would, who thought of herself as an equal, much like how I'm an equal and everyone else. I don't consider myself this supremacist knowing everything.
Another thing, too, to keep in mind. Some people may say or comment on this rant about how, maybe some women have this own idea to themselves that they just want to be, sexual objects. But really, when you think about it very hard, people take their own psychology and their own mindset after events have happened to them. So you can say very well and very clear that events have happened to these women that have caused them to become these objects. You can't just say blatantly out loud, yeah, this woman wanted to get fucked every day. No, you could say very well that that man or a previous person in her life had manipulated the ideas in her head to become something more of just, I'm going to get fucked every day, I guess, and instead ruined her dreams as to possibly have been something. You know the expression they use with children, how it's like, like with abortion, the argument is you can kill off the next lawyer, you can kill off the next president, you can kill off the next, bus driver, you can kill off the next something. You know what? You can say the exact thing when you manipulate a woman's mind into becoming something more of a sexual object. You could have taken away that next great lawyer to solve that great case. You could have taken away our first lady president. You could have taken away a beautiful life. Why? Because you just felt like you had to get sex. And that's all you wanted.
Yeah, manipulating it to your own means. I mean, you mentioned Kant earlier. Kant believes in ends rather than means to an end, which means manipulating and lying is, well, dumb. I mean, yes, you can make your little white lie here and there. Does this make me look fat? No, honey, it doesn't. But see, the thing is, though, you really shouldn't use the powers of manipulation to win women's hearts. If anything, that just makes you look like a total chode. Enough said. I mean, if I go around today, and if I say to 3 women, I love you, you're all awesome, you're like the best thing I've ever seen in my life, you want to go on a date with me, blah, 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 I mean, if any of them ever found out what I would do, they would hate me for the rest of my natural life, and I wouldn't blame them because what I did was rather fucking stupid. Why would I even do that in the first fucking place in the first place? It's just, what the hell? It's like, you're stupid. It's just, they all are independent beings that live and thrive on the same earth and air we do. It's just incomprehensible to explain and unconscionable how some people are like, here's a major psychological point that I really felt like bringing up this whole time.
Sure.
There's this thing called the fundamental attribution error. I mentioned this earlier in a previous video.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is people suffer from people make these fundamental attribution errors when they see outside forces and they blame outside forces on their own actions. And in fact, if they see like a woman being, being abused, they assume it's the woman's fault because she brought it on herself. But if the person in question was the abuser, they would say it's the woman's fault. That's error, because they're blaming every single fault that they have on the outside world, and yet every single good thing they do, they take full responsibility of, even if it wasn't. So, like, if they procured a girlfriend, they would say up to the highest mountains, like to the highest mountain, Mount Everest, I have a girlfriend, guys, ugh. But when they do something wrong and stupid, they say it's the woman's fault. That's actually what is known as a self-serving bias. And in fact, in psychology, you see this a lot of the time. That sort of thing is made every day. The fundamental FAE is what it's also known as. So, I mean, if you see this happen all the bloody time, you can make this kind of connection to, how men try to overpower women. Because they make fundamental attribution errors all the bloody time. Because they don't want to own up to their mistakes, and in fact, they just want to think themselves as always right, always doing the right thing, always knowing what's in the best interests of the woman, etc., etc., etc. And that, to me, is bullshit.
I agree wholeheartedly. I agree with that completely. And it's just...
Thank you.
Like, we could have summed this whole idea, like this whole rant, with one word. Think. Think about what you're doing. Think about who you're hurting. Think about who that woman is. We could have said that. We could have turned this hour-long thing into something little as one word. But you know what? Just doesn't feel right to just say one word. Why? Because most men have the idea in their mind that we don't have to listen. So here it is. An hour-long, or I don't even know how long this is, rant, and, conversation about how this fucking matters. And no matter how many times it's been said, it's gonna be said again and again and again. And men, you can't escape it. No matter how many times you try, you can't escape it. Why? Women are people. Women are women. Women are just these beautiful things. And things is even wrong of a thing for me to say. Women are people. And you will never be able to escape that, no matter what. And that is all I have to say. And my concluding words. Your concluding words, Youngblood?
I think I would like to make a quote from famous literature, writer Gertrude Stein. She said once that a rose is a rose is a rose. If that's the case, then a woman is a woman is a woman. Enough said. That's all I had to say, too.
True. And, well, this has been very long. I'm not sure how long this has been, but we're just two guys that really have a lot to say through our own personal experience or through the books we've read.
Yeah, so please excuse our very long-winded nature. I mean, it's one of those things that I totally ruminated for a long period of time in my life, so I mean, please excuse the length, so, on my part. So, my apologies if you guys couldn't sit through the whole thing, but, hey, we're people brimming with ideas and concepts. We needed to articulate it somehow, and we did. We successfully did, so I mean, I'm satisfied with that.
Yes, and the last thing I have to say is, women, if you do stumble upon this video somehow, if you do randomly, random Google search or random YouTube search, and you find this video, take a minute, sit down, and just listen to our thoughts. As I've said a million times, we may not be able to change you. And that's not the idea, because that would be manipulation. If we were to take over your mind and just, manipulate it. But this, we want you to think. Because you can think. you are people. You are people that have this power of imagination, this power of brain that you can just use. And sometimes I feel it's just diminished. So, as I say, if you stumble upon this, take a minute of your time, sit down, and take a listen. Maybe something will say. Maybe it's the whole conversation. Maybe it's just one phrase from me, either me or Youngblood. And I know it's 1 hour of their time, but, you know, something out of it may be able to help you. And if it does, that's the happiest thing I could ever see.
If I see one person change because there's just one person, I felt I would have done my job. I really
Same
would.
here.
I felt that we've done something, you know, that we've successfully done something. That's it. Just one person. That's it. I mean, there you go.
We don't have to change the world. We just have to help someone who needs it.
Stepwise function. Just change it a little bit at a time.
True. Very true. Well, we don't want to waste more of your time or just, you know, drive you all insane as to possibly talk on, but being honest, we could have talked on for hours and hours if we wanted to, and our sound recorder would not like that one bit.
No, it probably would just die on us.
Yeah, it died. Yes. Now, well, that's all we gotta say. I'm KamikaziMaster.
And I'm Youngblood Fantasy 91, and I will see you all on the brighter later, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm out of here. Peace.